It's an honor to stand here on my husband Gerald's behalf. Is that better? Okay. As many of you know, Gerald suffers from a word-finding difficulty called primary progressive aphasia, which means, among other symptoms, that he has lost the ability to speak. As a former lawyer, the long-winded speeches from his past are no longer his strength. So I am here instead to pay tribute to Eddie, a humble man who was a friend to us both and a fishing buddy to Gerald. We became friends with Eddie and Rebecca in the 70s at the officers' mess, where we were associate members and where Eddie and Gerald soon discovered their shared joy in salmon fishing. As was the custom, Gerald applied for June fishing waters for himself and 3 others, a practice which continued for many years. Last week, when I realized the celebration of life was close at hand, I decided to contact the other 2 men who were part of that cohesive foursome who came together every June, no matter where they were living at the time. Both Jack Partington from Ottawa and Al Frost from Summerside, men now in their late 80s, responded to my request with short accounts of their fishing days with Eddie. It is my privilege to share these with you this evening. The first one, remembrance of Eddie Ozcan from Jack Partington. And I sent Jack an email and he responded. Dear Nancy and Gerald, and this was just done on Thursday. Thank you for letting me know the sad news of Eddie Ozcan's passing and the gathering of those who knew him in celebration of his life. I regret not being able to attend, but if the opportunity presents, perhaps you might mention how greatly his fishing buddies treasured his company and his time among them. Eddie figures prominently whenever I recall some of my most pleasant life experiences, namely the times we went fly fishing together on the Miramichi. We called our group the Stony Brook Club, because that was where Gerald was able to first win us a reservation in the annual fishing lottery. Our club consisted of a lawyer, Gerald, a banker, Al Frost, a pilot, me, and a gynecologist, Eddie. A diverse gang knit together by a passion for fly fishing. But when not on the river fishing, we had many pleasant hours recounting anecdotes from our working lives. Eddie's contributions were always delivered with discretion and sensitivity, but also with a delightful sense of humor. You can imagine how we all appreciated his insights. As a fly fisherman, Eddie worked hard at casting and retrieving his line, keeping his footing among the slippery rocks while the current of the river tried to upset him. Those of us who had grown up in such conditions were concerned for his safety, but he prevailed and landed as many salmon as any of us. But where he excelled was in tying the flies on his leader and the leader to his line. No one could do so with such speed and finesse. His surgical experience gave him the edge. I will always treasure the memories of my times with Eddie and wish they had been longer and more often. I am sure the members of the Stony Brook Club feel the same way about this gentle, honorable man and one heck of a fisherman. We are all most grateful to have known him. The next one is from Al Frost. This is the last one. And I sent Jack's little write-up to Al on Thursday after I received it, and within an hour or two, Al had sent back a response as well. Thank you for your message, Nancy and Gerald. So sorry to hear of Eddie's passing. As Jack so eloquently stated, he had some great times fishing together at Stony Brook, as well as up at Highbridge Camp with Gerald. Unfortunately, I would not be able to attend the celebration of life for Eddie, but I will send along this little poem to remember him by. Ode to the Stony Brook Club. I had some great old fishing trips along the Miramichi with Gerald, Jack, and Eddie, a most delightful 3. We formed the Stony Brook Club when we won a lottery draw, and the stories told and fish caught were the best you ever saw. Gerald was the fishing expert, while Jack was close behind, and Eddie was a master tying flies and leaders onto line. We had a great time fishing, but the downtime was the best. Then the Stony Brook Club bonded and released all working stress. We're so glad to hear that Eddie has passed, we're so sad to hear that Eddie has passed away, as we all must, but a finer man you'd never find for a friendship you could trust. So Eddie, rest in peace, my friend. I hope you return to Stony Brook and catch the biggest salmon you ever had upon your hook.